morning, guys. My name is Crystal. How are you? How are you all doing? I hope you're doing well, and remember that whatever comes your way, you'll find a way to deal with it one way or the other, and sometimes it's okay not to be okay. So if you wake up one day and you're not in the best of spirits, I think we're all entitled to lose our temper, be upset once in a while. You can't always be positive. You cannot always be positive every single day. A human suffers a lot of emotions, we go through a lot of things, and sometimes it is okay not to be okay. Alexa, good morning.
Good morning, and happy birthday to Andy Serkis, a consistently mesmerizing actor, whether he's playing Sith Lords, supervillains, or smart chimps.
Also, I want a bit of background history between me and my mum. So, I was born in Lewisham Hospital. I was in Lewisham Hospital at the same time as Luke and Matt Goss were born. They were born 2 days later than me, the Goss twins out of Bros. So, Matt and Luke's mum had given birth to Luke and Matt, whilst my mum was giving birth to me in Lewisham Hospital, which is located in London, in 1968. So I'm as old as the Goss brothers out of Bros. So I was brought up in London, Forest Hill, Sydenham, Lewisham, Catford, Deptford, Penge, all those type of areas where my father was a TV installer. He installed televisions to people's addresses, including going up 14 floors when the lift had broken down with a TV set. So my dad was a TV installer. My mum was a cleaner on and off. She cleaned for a posh lady called Miss Yardley up in Sydenham. So my mum was on and off a cleaner. Obviously I was a kid. So I used to go sometimes with my mum when she cleaned Miss Yardley's house. I was sat there talking to one of Miss Yardley's male relatives when I was a teenage girl. I went to school in Sydenham, Dartmouth Road, an all-girls school, Sydenham Girls' School. Of course I had a different name then because I've been married since. I've had a married name, haven't I? So they wouldn't remember me under the name of Crystal, but the girls at Sydenham Girls' School, Dartmouth Road, would remember me under the name of Genestra. Not Jennifer, Genestra. I was at school under the name of Genestra. I changed my name to Crystal in 2009. Right, so I went to an all-girls school. They'd remember me as Genestra, the quiet girl that never spoke, because I didn't. I did make friends, however. When you go to work or school, even the quietest of people make friends. You'll get someone that'll come over to you and say, would you like to go here with me or do this? You always get somebody when you're in a group of people that will come up and talk to you, whether you're in a sports club or whatever. You will get someone talking to you. Usually you meet people at work. I don't go to work, so I'm not meeting people. If I did, I probably would meet people, because you need to get to know someone over a period of time. So I was born in Lewisham Hospital, London. My mum was born in Pembury. Now, when I went to Folkestone with my son and his girlfriend, in Bursting Hotel lounge lobby with some leaflets. 60 of the best places to visit in Kent, Leeds Castle, and visit Tunbridge Wells. Now, my mum's mother, Joyce, came from Tunbridge Wells. So I've got a map of Royal Tunbridge Wells, so it's Royal Tunbridge Wells. Royal, we've got King Charles the Martyr Church in Royal Tunbridge Wells, Tunbridge Wells Common, Tunbridge Wells Hotel, the Pantiles, the Russell Hotel, Royal Wells Hotel. So you've got a map of Royal Tunbridge Wells. Now, my mum was born in Pembury, which is just away from Royal Tunbridge Wells, where her mother, I think, lived. Royal Tunbridge Wells. So I've probably passed Tunbridge Wells. Royal Tunbridge Wells lies at the heart of the unspoilt beauty of the Weald of Kent. Royal Tunbridge Wells and the surrounding area remains a favoured destination for those who want to enjoy elegant surroundings and easy access to the countryside within an hour's drive or train ride from the hustle and bustle of London. You have Hever Castle, the childhood home of Anne Boleyn, second wife of King Henry VIII, and Leeds Castle, known as the loveliest castle in the world. Hole Park Garden and Merriments are just two of the secret gardens tucked away in the beautiful countryside. King Charles the Martyr Church in Chapel Place in Royal Tunbridge Wells, St Dunstan's in Cranbrook, All Saints Church in Chudley with magnificent windows designed by Mark Chagall are just 4 examples worth a visit. St Mary's at Speldhurst and All Saints Church. One of my mum's workers was called Pamela Hole. Pamela Hole. And they used to take my mother out for coffee. Pamela Hole did. I have not been classed as mentally ill, and I haven't had workers taking me out. That happened at Victoria Road. Workers used to come and take my mother out for coffee, to take her out, because she was suffering. You know, you suffer mental problems when you go through domestic violence, because the abusers deprive you of money, they abuse you, put you down and make you feel awful about yourself, right? That's what they do. And my mum got mentally ill. I used to burst into tears because I knew my father was hitting my mother, and I was a little kid, and the police ain't going to believe a little kid. I used to watch the police come in, my dad tell lies, and my mum burst into tears. And if my mum had called the police, he'd punch my mum for calling the police and telling people. And I shouldn't have experienced that as a child. I shouldn't have. I experienced my dad punch my mother. I experienced my dad use foul language and treat my mother like a slave and a piece of shit, right? And it happened in my life. The same happened to me. My children watched my ex do the same to me, treat me like a pile of shit. It's like a vicious circle that can't be broken. Because I witnessed my mum being abused and hit. It happened to me. It's like a cycle of abuse. It happened to me as well. I chose a man that was exactly like my father. But to me, it was worse. Worse, much worse. they're manipulative, they're psychotic, and they're very clever at concealing what they're doing, because they do it behind closed doors to you, and they keep you under their control. You don't tell anybody, and to the outside world, these abusers look the most perfect, charming man. They're opening doors for women. They're saying, oh, don't you look nice to other women? And inside your building, they're hitting you and calling you a slag, a piece of filth, a trout. And they're belting the fuck out of you. And you're too frightened to speak. So everybody outside thinks you're a drip. You're a loser because you're holding your head down, but you're scared of getting beaten or murdered. I can talk about it now because I've escaped it. When my dad passed away, I've been released from the prison he was holding me in. But my mum can't escape it. My mum cannot escape it. My dad has had so much hold over my mother, now she's free of him, she can't live her life. Now I say for the first year I couldn't. I wouldn't go to the shops, I wouldn't do anything. But now I'm trying to get myself out. His hold on me is getting less and less and less. And even if I don't meet anybody else, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, because what they do is they say, you're an old trout, you're a slag, nobody's ever going to want you. And you start to believe it. You'll believe it, and you're actually making what they say come true. Because you're not dressing as yourself, you're not being yourself. They've still got this hold of you're held in a prison, listening to what the abusers said. You're a trout, you're ugly, you're blue, nobody's going to want you. When in fact nobody wants them. Who's going to want a man that beats them? Who's going to want a man that is abusive and horrible to women? No one is. You're the only one that's going to put up with their behaviour. That's why they're controlling you, you see. Nobody else would put up with them. No one else would put up with their shit. You know, if a bloke went up to a certain kind of woman and he hit them, they'd scream and get the police. But they pick on women they know that are vulnerable, that are quiet, that maybe haven't got much family, and they can gradually gain their control, and once they've hit you, you can't believe it. So you might be a year or two with this bloke, and he suddenly gives you a hard slap for no reason. And you've got to know them, you love them, you care about them, and you can't believe they bloody hit you. You can't believe it. Where did that come from? I was a hard-working woman. I had a good job, and I was dealing with it. I was dealing with it. Like somebody, like I felt like I was being stalked. They'd turn up at my workplace, they'd turn up on the field I was walking the dog in, and I was with them almost all the time. And it's the hitting. You just can't believe it. They just need an excuse to hit you. And you make one mistake, then they think, right, I'm going to start hitting her now. I'm going to take my anger out on them and hit them. And I put up with it for a long time, and I kept getting told, you can't leave me, you can't leave me, and I felt punished, and I thought, I am going to leave you. I can't put up with this. I can't put up with it. I love you, but I can't put up with your behaviour. And the men I've met after that, I made mistakes. I was picking the wrong men. They were doing the same thing. And I thought, this has got to stop. So in 2016, I told the last boyfriend I had that I didn't like his behaviour. He was treating me like shit. And could he leave me alone? And I haven't had a relationship since, because I just attract blokes that think I'm a punch bag and a money box. So, you know, they don't want, they use me for money, and they bugger off and go off with another woman, and I don't bloody want that, right? So, you know, sometimes you're better off on your own, and I found that out the hard way. I'm not like some women. I don't want to look after a man that's a big baby. Some women can't cope without being with a fella. I can, and I will. See you later.